So we're going to begin with a bridge pose. And often when we do bridge pose, I cue it with the palms down. So today, I'd like you to bring your palms up, really rotate the arms so that you can feel the shoulders open. And then you're going to bend the elbows and bring the arms up. So we can use the backs of the arms for a little bit of leverage. And on an inhale, lift your hips for bridge pose, trying to keep that openness through the collarbones. And then exhale to lower. Inhale to lift the hips. Exhale to lower. Inhale, lift the hips. Keep the chin tucked in close to your chest. And exhale to lower. And one more. Inhale, lift the hips. And exhale, lower. And you can bring the arms back down by your sides. Bring your feet a little bit wider on your mat so that maybe they're about as far apart as the width of your mat. And then just let your knees fall from side to side. Eventually returning back to our starting position. Maybe bring those feet a little bit closer to your hips. And arms are down by your sides, palms facing down. So you're going to take the right leg and cross the right ankle just below the left knee. And you can stay here or reach behind the left knee and bring that knee towards you. So left foot lifts off the floor. And we come into this figure 4 stretch. We'll just take a few breaths here. And then you can straighten your left leg if you've lifted it. Sole of the foot to the ceiling. And maybe straighten, point, and flex your left foot. And make ankle circles in one direction and in the other direction. Warming up the foot and ankle. Then rebend your left knee. Place the left foot on the mat. And then take your right knee. You can clasp it with your both hands. And then we're going to do a half happy baby with your right foot. So holding on to shins, ankles, or foot, you're going to bring that knee out to the side. If you have a strap or a towel, you could also put that around the bottom of the foot and bring it down to the side. So to begin with, let's try to keep the hips level. So both sides of your back waistband are going to stay on the mat. Just feel the stretch in the hips. A couple more breaths. And then if you'd like to just tip over to the right side and bring that knee down, you can do a couple of tips to the side and let the left hip come up off the mat. And then let go of your right foot and bring it back down to meet the left. And we'll just take a few breaths to settle. Notice any difference between your right leg or your left leg. And then we'll take the left foot and cross it just below the right knee, opening the knee out to the side. And clasp your hands behind the right knee, bringing the knee closer to you for a figure four stretch. And you can straighten the right leg, sole the foot to the ceiling, straighten and flex the right foot, and make some ankle circles in both directions. And then bring the right leg to bend again. Place the right foot on the mat. And then we'll take the left foot, coming into happy baby. Bring the knee out to the side. Again, holding on to a shin, ankle, foot. We're using a strap or towel. Keeping your hips level. And then you can tip over to the left side if you'd like. Coming back to center. Bring your left foot down to meet your right. And we'll take a few breaths. And you can bring both knees into your chest. Give them a little squeeze. Rock side to side. Eventually rolling over to one side and making your way into table position. Do first a few rounds of cat and cow. Inhaling to round the spine. Exhale to drop the belly into cow. Inhale to cat. Exhale to cow. Inhale. Exhale. And one more round. Inhale. And exhale. And then you can return to a neutral spine, table position. So next we're going to round the spine again as we do in cat pose. So really reaching up through the upper back, relaxing the head and neck. And then I want you to shift your weight slightly forward onto your hands, but make sure your shoulders don't go past your fingers. And maintain that lift. Core is engaged. And then back to neutral spine. And hips come back to your heels. You can reach your arms forward, coming into child's pose. Head reaches down toward the mat. Then on your next inhale, return to table position. And we'll repeat that again, rounding the back, gauging the core, and then shifting the weight forward. And hold and breathe. And then drop the belly back to neutral. Hips come back to heels for child's pose. And then on your next inhale, coming back to table again, we'll do one more round. Inhaling, round the spine, broaden through the upper back, shift the weight forward, breathing. And then drop the belly and come into child's pose. You can reach your arms forward, or you can reach your arms back, reaching back toward your heels. Give the shoulders a little bit of a rest. And then on your next inhale, we'll come back up to table. Walk your hands slightly forward of your shoulders this time. Tuck your toes under, lift your hips, and come into a downward facing dog. So as we're warming up in our first downward facing dog of the day, you can bend alternate knees, shift your hips from side to side. Anything that feels good to you to help you come into the pose more comfortably. And then we'll all come into a forward fold by walking feet to hands or hands to feet. The slight bend in your knees. Pause for a moment. Relax the back of the head and neck. And then on your next inhale, we'll lift up, arms coming out to the sides and up overhead, palms together, hands come down to heart center. So we'll spread our toes wide, maybe lift them up, and then place them back down on the mat, lifting tall. Inhale, bring your arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold, bending the knees as much as you'd like. Inhale, lift halfway with a straight spine. Exhale, forward fold. And then we'll place our hands down on the mat. Let's come into a low plank with knees down. So your hips are shifted forward. And fingers are spread wide. And then we'll slowly lower the chest down to the mat, keeping the elbows in. And then to prepare for our baby cobra, really push the tops of the feet into the mat. And then on an inhale, lift your chest. And exhale to lower. Inhale, push back into child's pose. And then on your next inhale, come back to table. And then we'll bring the right foot forward in between your hands into a low lunge. And arms come overhead as you're ready. And then place your hands back down on the mat. Tuck your back toes under and bring the back foot forward into a forward fold. And then inhale, rise up, arms come overhead, hands to heart center. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, elongate the spine. Exhale, forward fold. Plant your hands and come into a low plank with knees down. Bending the elbows, lower the chest down to the mat. Inhale, lift your chest for baby cobra. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift, bringing your hips back to child's pose. And then on your next inhale, come back to table. Step your left foot forward in between your hands, coming into a low lunge. And arms come overhead. Then bring your hands back down to the mat. Tuck your back toes under and bring the back foot forward into forward fold. Remember, you can bend your knees as much as you'd like. And then on an inhale, arms come overhead. And exhale. Hands to heart center. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, forward fold. Plant your hands and come into either a low plank or high plank with knees lifted and lower down to the mat. Inhale, lift your chest for baby cobra and exhale to lower. Inhale, your choice, downward facing dog or child's pose. And then we'll all meet in table. And then bring the right foot forward in between your hands. And this time, walk that foot a little farther forward so that we're feeling that stretch along the back leg, not right on that back knee. This is where you might want some blocks nearby if that's helpful. So we're going to shift the hips back for half splits. And you can keep the front toes down on the mat, or you can lift them for more of a hamstring stretch. Your choice. And then we'll rebend the front knee, coming forward. And hips back. Hips forward. And hips back. And hips forward. And then you're going to walk your right foot out to the side, toward the outside, outer edge of your mat. We're going to bring the right arm inside your leg. And so you can be here. Options. Your hands could be on the floor. Your hands could be on blocks. You could come down to your elbows. Your elbows could be on blocks. Coming into lizard pose. And then we'll bring that foot back to center. So it's in between both of your hands. Tuck the back toes under. Lift your back knee. Shift your weight forward into forward fold. Inhale to rise. And hands to heart center. Inhale, arms come overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, elongate the spine, relaxing the back of the neck. Exhale, forward fold. And then come into your version of plank, knees up or down. And slowly lower down to the mat. Inhale, lift your chest for baby cobra. And exhale to lower. Inhale, lift to child's pose or downward facing dog. And then we'll all meet in table position. This time the left foot comes forward and walk the foot a little bit farther forward into lunge. Holding on to blocks if needed. We'll shift the hips back. Again, you can keep your toes on the mat, or you can flex your foot, bringing your toes towards you for a hamstring stretch. And we'll shift the hips forward again into low lunge. And hips come back. And hips forward. And hips back. And hips come forward. So we'll walk that left foot toward the outer edge of your mat, bringing the left arm inside the left leg. And then you decide where you want your hands to be, on blocks, on your mat. Maybe you come down to forearms. And then we'll walk that left leg back into the center. Tuck your back toes under. Lift your back knee. And bring the back foot forward into forward fold. Inhale, rise up, arms overhead, and hands come to heart center. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, elongate the spine. Exhale, forward fold. Come into your version of plank and lower down. Inhale, lift into cobra. Exhale, lower the chest. Inhale, child's pose or downward facing dog. And then we'll meet in table position. So bringing the right foot forward in between the hands, back to low lunge again. This time we'll tuck the back toes under, lift the back knee, really straighten that back leg. Your belly is resting on your front thigh. And you have the option of bringing one or both arms out to the side. If you feel fairly stable here, then maybe lift the chest slightly. Then you can bring your hands back down to the mat and shift your weight forward, bringing the back foot to meet the front into forward fold. Inhale, arms come overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, elongate the spine. Exhale, forward fold. Plant your hands and come into your version of plank. Knees up or down. Lower your chest down to the mat. Inhale, lift your chest. Exhale to lower your chest. Inhale, lift into downward facing dog or back to child's pose. And then we'll all meet in table position. And this time the left foot comes forward in between the hands into a low lunge. Tuck the back toes under, lift the back knee, straightening the back leg. Belly to front thigh. And then option to lift one arm or both arms out to the side. And maybe slight lift to the chest. And then hands come down to the mat. Shift your weight forward, bringing the back foot to meet the front into forward fold. Inhale, rise up, arms come overhead, palms together, and hands to heart center. Taking easy breaths in and out through the nose. We're going to come down to our forearms. Palms are down. So we'll begin by engaging the core. So belly to spine. And then we're just going to lift the chest from this position. So it's really sort of a subtle move. So we'll just push the chest forward and lower it back down. Chest comes forward and down and forward and down and forward and down. And then we're going to lift one leg up and the other leg up. Feet are flexed. You can bring the legs together or keep them apart. Keep the belly engaged. Keep the chest lifted. And we'll come into this modification of a boat pose. And you can tuck your chin to reduce any strain in the back of the neck. And then you can lower your feet and come down to your back. Bring the knees into the chest. Maybe rock side to side. And then we'll come back to a seated position. So this time we're going to do what's called a floating Bakasana. So somewhat similar to a boat pose, but instead of lifting the feet up, we're actually going to keep the feet fairly close to the mat, but they're, as you can tell, mine are lifted just off the ground. So in this pose, our aim is to try to get the knees into the chest as much as we can. And you can hold it with your hands, but if you can, try to do it with your abdominal muscles. Hold here. Maybe you can squeeze your arms against the outside of your legs and vice versa. And then you can roll back on your back, bringing your knees into your chest and rock side to side. And then you can bring your knees to one side, make your way up to seated position again. This time, bring the legs wide. Feet are flexed. And we'll just come into a very easy wide-legged forward fold. So begin by lifting up and just walking your hands forward. Tilting the pelvis forward so we're not overly rounding into the lower back. And you can walk your hands back up center. Bring your legs together. And your feet so they're about hip width apart. And put your hands behind you. Your fingers can be pointed towards you or away from you. We're going to lift the hips up. For a reverse table, and lower the hips. And then you can lower yourself back down to your back. I'm going to turn to the side. And then we'll do an inversion. And if you would like to go, if you have a wall nearby and you would like to do legs up the wall, you can do that. But one way to get your feet higher than your head is you can just lift your legs up. If you have a block, you could stick it under your hips. And just let your legs go up to the ceiling. They don't have to be straight. And you can bring your knees into your chest. Maybe make some circles with your knees. Going in both directions. And then bring your arms out to the sides, palms facing up. And let your knees fall over to the right. You can look towards your knees, up at the ceiling, over towards the opposite shoulder. On your next inhale, lift the knees coming up through center and let them fall over to the left. And inhale back to center. And then you can come into a happy baby, bringing both knees out to the sides. Holding on to shins, ankles, feet or toes. And stay in stillness or rock side to side. And then as you're ready, you can prepare for Shavasana, stretching your legs long, putting on any extra clothing that you need for warmth, and making any small movements in the body to be more comfortable. Take easy, natural breaths in and out through your nose.